Welcome to Canadian Beer Journal. My name is Kevin. I know it's been a long time since I've posted a video. I had to deal with final exams, and then we actually moved to a new place out here in Etobicoke. I started volunteering. I had some other excuses written down, but can't find them right now. We're here in Etobicoke now, which is actually a great location to be a craft beer fan. There are three breweries within a reasonable distance. We got Great Lakes Brewing, who just won Canadian Brewer of the Year again, so that's 2 years running. I've been pretty pleased with that. Black Oak Brewing, which does some really neat stuff. And we have Cool Beers, who produce sort of a more standard line of beers, but they also contract brew for companies like Dugan's. And right up until about this month, they were contract brewing for Denison's as well. But they've actually moved to a new brewery in Collingwood, side launch. I have a can of both, the Toronto-made Denison's and the new side launch wheat. Maybe I'll do a comparison when my buddy Andrew gets in. He's more into wheat beers than I am, so he'd probably be a good resource for that. So the beer we're looking at today is going to be Propeller IPA. It's available in 6-packs in the LCBO. I think it's coming in at about $14 for a 6-pack, which is a little bit pricey. I know some people are going to get upset. It's the 341 ml bottles. It's the 11.5 ounce. Yeah, I mean, to me, it's a little bit annoying if you're going to charge the exact same price to kind of stiff you half an ounce per bottle. It doesn't work out to that much. It's 3 ounces over the entirety of the 6-pack, but still, you kind of feel cheated a bit. But it's a very interesting beer because rather than being a totally American interpretation of the IPA, which we know that had this sort of piney and citrusy flavors, they've gone with a more British malt base and a more British hop base, but it's still at 6.5%. You'll oftentimes see British beers marketed at IPAs at all kinds of strengths. You'll see some at 3.8%, all the way up to just about the 5% range. So this is going to be an interesting mix between the two of them because it's got sort of the alcohol presence and hopefully the full-bodied character of a more American style, but with the flavors coming into the British tradition. First brewed in 2005 by the John Allen Brewing Company. This is another one of those companies that seems to have two names, kind of like Sam Adams' Boston Beer Company. The brewery is the John Allen Brewing Company, but they go by Propeller Brewing Company. I believe just because their first product was named Propeller and all their beers after that sort of fell under that umbrella. Whatever, that's the way they want to run it. Not much else to talk about the beer, other than it's unique, I guess, for being the other sort of regional IPA. If you're from Canada, you know of another beer called Alexander Keith's IPA, which really is not an IPA. If anything, it's just sort of, I think, what they call like a Canadian-style ale or a golden ale, sort of like Labatt 50 or Molson X or something like that. And it's been the butt of a lot of jokes. I know Chad's Beer Review did one, and I think he was expecting an actual IPA, or maybe he wasn't, I'm not sure, but it's very much not what an IPA is supposed to be. So I gather they had a bit of a time marketing this in a town where that was sort of that's what people thought an IPA was. Anyhow, let's get the top off, and I'll give you a flavor profile on it. Alright, so as you can see, it looks pretty much like an American IPA. Amber in color, not too hazy, not seeing a lot of like unfiltered hop particles or anything in there, fairly low carbonation, not a huge amount of head on it. So, familiar but already a little bit different. So right away on the nose, if you're expecting an American style IPA, you're going to be a bit confused because I'm getting first a little bit of the malt sweetness coming in, a sort of grainy, not quite a corn, but definitely a sweet sort of malt, followed by a little bit of citrus in the background, but it's almost a more herbal, medicinal kind of smell rather than your traditional West Coast hop smell. But again, it doesn't smell like, say, an ESB or a pub ale or something like that. It's definitely much higher strength and a little bit more assertive than that. So, let's give it a taste. Cheers. So on the palate, you're getting a lot of bitterness up front. But again, it sort of is the theme of this beer. It's not the same kind of bitterness you get out of something like, say, Muskoka Mad Tom, Amsterdam Bone Shaker, or some of the other more West Coast style IPAs. It's a much more herbal, kind of like biting into a fresh bit of mint or something like that. And then, rather than being sort of syrupy, it's much more bready, kind of like a sweet, almost like a raisin bun kind of thing happening at the back of the tongue. So, again, very much in the middle between what you would think of as a more British style bitter and a North American interpretation of the IPA. Alrighty, so I'm going to let this warm up a little bit, and I'll give you my final verdict in just a few minutes. Alright, see you. Welcome back. So before I go any further, I should probably introduce this here. This is our dog, King Ralph. We got him about 2 years ago. Rescued him actually from, well, we didn't rescue him. He was taken out by police from an Amish puppy mill, believe it or not. So he doesn't really do much. He's more of a cat personality-wise, but you might see him in some of the videos now since we got a better location to film in. He likes lounging around. Anyhow, back to the beer. So as this warms up, you're getting a little bit more of the malt coming out, and there's definitely a fruitiness there, kind of reminiscent of sort of a ruby, an English ruby ale, say like Hobgoblin, or maybe Green King's Abbot Ale. Actually, I can kind of taste that happening in the background. So again, it's just that sort of a blend of British flavors with sort of an American IPA direction. The only other beer that I've had that was sort of aiming in this direction, it was a much bigger beer though, was Stone's 14th anniversary, the Empirical IPA, which not a lot of people liked actually as compared to their normal kind of just citrus and pine monster beers. So if you're into IPAs, definitely give this one a try because it's going to be something new for you. It's going to be something different, something to talk about. And if you're more into the English style beers, if you're more a real ale fan than a craft beer fan, this might be either, if not a transitional beer, something that you can approach anyways and sort of understand the more American craft style. So overall, I would highly, highly recommend this beer. It is pricey, I do understand that, but I think as something to try that's just totally unique on the market right now, it's definitely worth picking up. So if you see it in the LCBO, grab a 6-pack. Cheers.